If you run systematic literature reviews, you know where the time goes. Screening thousands of abstracts, chasing full-text PDFs, extracting the same 12 fields from every study, then rebuilding the audit trail when a client, a reviewer, or a regulator asks how you got there. Paperguide Systematic Review runs that process in one place. You define the question and the protocol. Paperguide AI generates the criteria, screens abstracts, screens full text, and extracts your fields into a table. A named verifier on your team confirms the AI output before the review advances. Nothing moves on AI judgment alone. Built for teams whose output has to survive peer review, regulatory audit, or client scrutiny, evidence synthesis and HEOR teams, clinical evaluation and regulatory affairs, hospital evidence teams, and academic groups running formal reviews. Everything starts with the research question. Type it in and Paperguide AI evaluates it as you go, then surfaces enhancement options based on what is missing. If your question is vague on population, comparator, or outcome, the AI shows you the gap and you decide whether to apply the suggestion. Next, optional context. This is free text where you describe your PICO elements, your screening and extraction needs, domain terminology, and any methodology preferences. Paperguide uses it to set up your protocol criteria and fields. Then you decide how the review runs. Abstract screening on or off. Full-text screening on or off. Set those and click on Start Review. Your review is created. Before we go stage by stage, here is the shape of the whole thing. A systematic review in Paperguide runs in sequence, and each stage unlocks the next. Paperguide AI does the work at every stage. A person on your team verifies that work and confirms it before the review moves on. So the AI leads, a human verifies, and the decision trail gets recorded as you go. Settings is where you add your team, give each member a role, and assign who verifies each stage. Protocol is the first stage, where the review is defined. Your eligibility criteria for abstract screening, your criteria for full-text screening, and the data fields you want extracted. The second stage is paper collection. You can search for papers with AI's search across our database of over 200 million papers. And if you have already collected references, you can import them into the Paperguide Reference Manager and add them to the collection. Everything pools into one set that moves forward, and duplicates get flagged automatically, so you can remove them before screening. The third stage is abstract screening. AI screens every abstract against your criteria, gives each paper a decision of include, exclude, or maybe, and shows the evidence behind it. Your verifier reviews that, overrides where needed, and confirms. Then comes full text screening. Every paper marked included or maybe in abstract screening moves forward and gets screened against your full text criteria, using the full PDF. The AI works through it criterion by criterion and shows the evidence behind each decision, and again your verifier reviews, overrides if needed, and confirms. The included papers then move into the data extraction table, where AI pulls out the fields you defined in the protocol for every paper, with links to the exact statements in the PDF. The same verification step applies here. Once extraction is verified, Paperguide synthesizes everything into a report, along with the PRISMA diagram built from the counts this review produced. You can move at your own pace. The review holds its state, your team works in parallel, and nothing advances until someone confirms it. Before you start anything, it is worth setting up your team. In Settings, you add members by email or share link and give each one a role. We have 3 access levels here. Full access can change the protocol, manage settings, manage papers, and override decisions. Review can review and verify the AI results at the screening and extraction stages. And View is read-only, which is for anyone who needs visibility, but should not be touching the decisions. On top of that base access, we have the verifier roles. You assign who verifies each stage. Pick someone from your team, and they become the verifier for that stage. So they go through the AI results one by one, override or edit anything that needs it, and finalize the stage. You can use the same person for all 3 stages or 3 different people, depending on how your team splits the work. And if you would rather not pin it to one person, then set it to anyone. Then every member with full access or review access can verify. Everything stays in sync, and your team can split the work however you like. One sequencing rule worth remembering. Assign the verifier for a stage before you start that stage. Now, let's start work on the actual review. It begins with a protocol, and this is where review is won or lost, so it is the step to slow down on. The protocol is where you set up your screening criteria and define your data extraction fields, and each of those gets used at its own stage later on. By default, Paperguide AI takes your research question and the additional context you gave it and generates the eligibility criteria for abstract screening, full text screening, and data extraction fields. Think of it as a starting set, not a finished protocol. You can edit anything, add your own, and remove whatever does not apply. Each screening criterion has 4 inputs: a title, instructions, to define the criterion and explain what the AI should extract, identify, and evaluate. Then an include when condition and an exclude when condition, which set the logic for the decision. 2 things matter here. First, write the instructions as if you were briefing a new reviewer on their first day. The clearer the instruction, the better the AI knows what to look for and what to judge it against. Second is the order of the criteria. When a paper fails a criterion, it gets excluded, and that criterion's title becomes the exclusion reason on record. Both the AI and your reviewers use the first failing criterion in the list. So if you want population mismatches reported separately from study design exclusions, put the population criterion earlier in the sequence. You set up the abstract screening criteria and the full text screening criteria separately, since the 2 are asking different questions. Coming to data extraction. Extraction fields work much the same way. A title, instructions describing what to extract and how to present it, and an output structure. That structure is either a free text answer, a yes, maybe, or no decision, or a list of specified answers the AI picks from. Specified answers are the one to reach for when you need clean, comparable values across every study. Once you have set up your criteria and fields for each stage, save them to complete the protocol setup. And make sure that setup is finished before you start the stage it belongs to. You can edit the protocol later, but it overrides the data you already have, and you will need to restart the steps in order. Fix your genuine mistakes during edit, but don't just tune the protocol as you go. Now, let's go to the papers collection step. You have 2 ways to bring papers in: AI search or your own reference manager. With AI search, you can search in natural language, not just keywords, and it finds papers across Paperguide's research database of over 200 million papers. For a quick start, Paperguide AI builds a set of search queries from your research question, so you can begin with those rather than writing your own from scratch. Through the reference manager, you can bring in what your team has already collected. You can import from Zotero or Mendeley to Paperguide Reference Manager, and even import references from other databases, or add papers using BibTeX, RIS, and PDF files, or just a DOI or a URL. Now to start with. I don't have many papers collected for this question, so I'll start with the AI suggested queries. Here is the papers collection view. It's laid out in tabs across the top, and the way those tabs work is worth a quick look. Every search you run gets its own tab. So if you run 4 searches, you get 4 tabs, and each one holds only the papers that search found. That way you can always see which search brought in which papers. And if one of your searches turns out to be too broad, you just delete that tab, and those papers leave the review with it. And everything from your reference manager sits in one more tab, separate from the search tabs. Let me add a paper from there now, and you can see it show up in the Reference Manager tab. And the first tab, All Papers, is where everything comes together. All your search tabs and your Reference Manager tab, feeding into one place. So All Papers shows you every paper that will be screened in this review, and you can remove papers here too by selecting them. Paperguide also detects duplicates across all of these sources automatically. They get marked and flagged here for you to review, and the duplicate copies are removed from the later stages. You can check what it found, and if something has been flagged wrongly, mark it as not a duplicate. And all of these counts are logged for your PRISMA diagram. How many papers you collected, how many duplicates were removed, and how many move forward to screening. All of it is recorded as you go. So by the time you reach the report, the diagram is already built from what actually happened in the review. And once you are done with collecting papers, confirm and start screening. Whatever sits in all papers when you finish is the set the review runs on. So check your coverage first, then click Confirm and start screening. Once you have confirmed your papers, Paperguide AI starts screening every abstract against the abstract eligibility criteria you saved in the protocol. So, do make sure those criteria are final before you start this stage. Screening takes a little time depending on how many papers you have. If you have assigned someone to verify abstract screening, they will get an email once the AI screening is done and the results are ready. And if you haven't assigned anyone, you can assign someone now, or just start verifying yourself. When it is not assigned to one person, anyone with full access or review access can verify. AI screening has been completed, and let's look at how the AI reaches a decision. This is the abstract screening results view. On the left, you have every paper in the review with its screening result. Select anyone, and the panel on the right opens up that paper's screening data. At the top, you get the paper's overall decision, and below that, each criteria's decision and the reasoning behind it. The Paperguide AI screens every paper's abstract against each criteria and gives a judgment for each one: meet, fail, or unclear. Unclear is when there is not enough in the abstract to decide, or when the AI is not confident enough with what is there. And with every criteria, it gives the evidence link. Click the citation number and the supporting statements get highlighted in the abstract on the left. And all these judgments of each criteria roll up into the final decision. If a criterion fails, the paper is excluded, and the first failing criterion becomes the exclusion reason. If everything is met but something is unclear, it comes back as maybe. And if all criteria are met, the paper is included. And on top of it, you get an overall reasoning summary with the evidence behind it. Now here is why the evidence matters more than the decision. Your verifier does not have to go back and reread the abstract to work out what the AI was thinking. The relevant sentences are already pulled out for them, criterion by criterion. They read those and confirm. If they disagree, they click Change Decision and make their own. Include, maybe, or exclude. That decision is saved and overrides the AI. And any paper where the decision was changed keeps a log of that update, so you can always see what was changed. Then you carry on the same way through the rest, confirming the AI decision or changing it. You can verify paper by paper or confirm all at once. If you are working as a group with the verifier set to anyone, go paper by paper so two people don't end up overriding each other on the same paper. Once every paper in abstract screening is confirmed, full text screening will be enabled. Every paper that has been marked include or maybe moves forward to full text screening, and the excluded ones don't come through to this stage. The full-text screening works much the same way as abstract screening, with two differences. It screens against the full PDF instead of the abstract, and there are only two decisions here: include or exclude. There is no maybe at this stage. And just like before, make sure your full text eligibility criteria are final before you start, and check your verifier setup if you want to assign someone to this stage. Once you start screening, Paperguide indexes the PDFs attached to your papers along with any open access PDFs, then pulls the relevant data out of each one against your full text criteria. Since this stage runs on the full PDF, any paper without PDF can't be screened. Those get listed in the Missing PDF tab and marked ineligible so they don't move forward. Paperguide already pulls in open access PDFs wherever it can find them. For the rest, you can attach a PDF manually or use our Chrome extension to fetch open access copies. And if your team has institutional access, set up the proxy in browser extension and you can pull PDFs from behind a paywall too. And if a PDF turns up later, just attach it. Screening runs for that paper, and it comes back into your queue to verify. The AI screening is done, and the assigned verifier has received their notification email. The AI screens every paper that has a PDF and marks the ones without a PDF as ineligible. That gets logged for your PRISMA diagram too. Now, let's look at how a verifier works through this. Verification here is just like abstract screening. On right side, at the top of the selected paper you get the overall decision with the reasoning behind it, and you can confirm it or change it. Below that, each criterion with its own judgment and evidence. The logic is the same as before as well. If every criterion is met, the AI marks the paper as include. If any one of them fails, it marks it exclude and gives you the reason. So just like abstract screening, you don't have to read the whole PDF to decide. Every decision comes with its reasoning and a citation link. Click the link next to a statement, and the supporting quotes get highlighted in the paper on the left. That way you can work through each criterion and the overall decision, checking the AI against the actual text. If you agree, confirm it. This paper is confirmed now and move to next one. And if you feel any decision is wrong after verifying, you can change the decision and your update is saved and logged on the paper. Now, the papers without a PDF. These are marked ineligible, but they are not gone. Anyone on the team can attach a PDF or use the Paperguide browser extension to fetch one. And if your organization has institutional access, the extension can pull PDFs from behind a paywall through your proxy. The moment a PDF is fetched or attached to a paper, screening runs for that paper, and it comes back into your queue to verify. Here you can see the newly fetched paper. This one has been screened and now has an AI decision on it. And if a paper genuinely cannot be found, leave it ineligible. It gets excluded on that basis, which is exactly what your PRISMA diagram needs to report. Once you have been through everything, confirm each paper as you go or confirm all at once. Then you get your final counts: included, excluded, and ineligible. Once full text screening is verified, data extraction opens up. Every paper included at full text moves into data extraction. Paperguide AI works through your extraction fields, follows the instructions you wrote for each one, and returns the output in a table. And just like the previous stages, confirm your extraction fields in the protocol and check your assigned verifier before you start. Here too, the AI needs the full PDF of each included paper to extract the data in a structured format. And since these papers already had their PDFs attached at full text screening, there is nothing to attach again. The AI reads the full PDF, works through the extraction fields you defined, and produces a structured output for each field, for every paper. Once extraction is done, verification opens up just like the other stages, and each paper's extracted data needs approving. In this case, we haven't assigned a verifier for this stage. It is set to anyone. So any member with full access or review access can approve or edit the extracted data. Here in the extraction view, you get a column for every field you defined. There is no decision to make at this stage. This is about approving the data itself, and the quality of the output comes back to the instructions you wrote in the protocol. The clearer and more precise those instructions are, the better the extraction. Every extracted value carries a citation, and if you click it, you land on the statement in the PDF that the value came from. So for each field, you can check the supporting quote directly in the paper. And if you want to edit a data, you can edit any field individually by clicking the edit icon and making your changes. Those changes are logged too, along with the name of the person who made them. If the AI can't find the relevant content for a field in a paper, it marks that field as not found. You can review it yourself and add the data manually using Edit option. Then you approve each paper's extraction as you go, or confirm all of them at once using the button at the top. With extraction confirmed, you can now generate the systematic review report by clicking on the Generate Report button. Paperguide generates the systematic review report. The AI synthesizes the extracted data across your included studies and produces a detailed report, and it logs the complete methodology of how the review was run. That includes the PRISMA diagram, built from the actual counts at every stage of this review. Identified, screened, excluded with reasons, included. Every one of those numbers came from a decision someone on your team confirmed, so the diagram is a record of what actually happened. And then the synthesis. Paperguide works across everything you extracted and pulls out the patterns running through the included studies, where the findings agree, where they diverge, and where the evidence thins out into a gap. Observations drawn across the whole body of literature, with the studies behind each one cited. And every one of those citations is live. Click it, and the supporting quotes light up on the right, highlighted in the full text of the paper they came from. So any claim in this report, you can trace back to the exact sentence in the source in one click. Once your review is complete, you can export everything. Your paper's collection, screening results with the data for each criterion, extraction table, and the final report. Every stage of the review can be exported, so nothing is locked inside Paperguide. And two last things to know. You can change the protocol during mid-review, but try not to. Changing your criteria or fields will change the results you already have, and you will have to run each step again. So don't edit as you go. Fix only the real mistakes. Adding papers in mid is much easier. Add them to your collection, and a button appears to screen the new ones. They go through the same stages and get verified like the rest. That is a complete systematic review. One research question, an AI-generated protocol you controlled, screening at abstract and full text with a named verifier on each stage, extraction trace to source statements, and a synthesized report with a PRISMA diagram.